Hi, everyone. It's Kathleen, and I'm so happy to introduce you to my new friend, Christina McLoughlin. She's from Ottawa, and she's a bilingual senior HR leader and consultant with a unique vantage point on workplace dynamics. She's worked in union settings in Canada, and she's decided to leave her full-time career to pursue an education in counseling and therapy services. And I can tell you, we've had such a beautiful conversation. We talked today about the identity shifts of taking on something new. We talk about a shared love of lifelong learning. And what we're trying to do is just understand this life right now, being reinvigorated with changes. We both share a love of learning from our adult children. I hope that while listening to Christina's journey, you'll understand that there's some commonalities with many of us as we continue to learn and maneuver through our journeys. Thank you for being here. Welcome to The Leader Journey, a series within the Rooted Leader podcast, a space for honest stories of transition, courage, and becoming. Here I sit down with folks I've met along my own journey who've stepped away from the structure of corporate life to explore something more meaningful on their own terms. These paths are rarely linear, often messy. My hope is that these conversations help you feel a little less alone, spark some reflection, and maybe even give you the nudge to trust your own journey, wherever it's taking you. Because your next chapter doesn't have to be certain to be worth beginning. I'm so excited to have my new friend, Christina McLoughlin, here. She's actually in Canada, which is very cool. But we have a common friend. Suzanne Summers, my previous guest, introduced us for our love of psychology and coaching. And I'm so excited to have her here today. So thank you, Christina.
Oh, thank you, Kathleen, for having me. I did see some clips of the last podcast and very impressive. And I'm really glad that we were introduced.
Yeah,
Thank you
me
for having
too.
me.
I think we definitely hit it off with some common themes. One of the reasons I asked you to be a guest is because you also are having this incredible shift at this point in your career. And of course, our shared love of organizational psychology. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about who you are right now in your career and your life? And we'll see where that takes us.
Sure. Actually, it's good timing because I met up with my previous coach. I that was helping me through many years in my regular corporate job, and she was asking the same thing. So, very good timing. So,
Wonderful.
where I would say I'm midlife, mid-career, and decided to go back to school. And that was a big decision, a full-time online education, similar to what we talked about earlier, counseling psychology. And what that did, I was an HR professional. I was the head of HR for a very large union in Canada. And when I left that, I had a bit of an identity crisis, going from an expert to being a newbie, a student with people much younger than me, and that routine and structure of every day applying myself, time management, studying. And then I missed HR. And I didn't know I was going to miss HR because I thought when you're in the corporate world, um, I started to question, do I like HR or do I not? And so when I was out of it, I realized how much I missed it. And that's where I decided to go back into consulting part time.
Yes.
And I pumped into ChatGPT. I want to do this. And it came out with a full marketing plan, including the name of my business, HR with Christina, which is very simple. And off I went. And it took a few months to get clients, but I'm pretty well rolling now and have a very nice balance between doing the counseling psychology masters online and work.
That's wonderful. I love that you touched on identity because I think so many of us have an identity that's so closely tied to our corporate persona and who we've been our full entire life. And then we decide there might be something more out there. Tell me a little bit about why you chose this particular degree. What was it that drew you to this?
Well, my daughter is a therapist and a counselor, and I watched her go through her program and have always questioned whether I wanted to be a psychotherapist and a counselor. And it was always, I won't say on a bucket list, because it was always on and off the list. So then when she did it and she would call me for advice, and she just said one day, she goes, Mom, you're better at this than I am. Like, you should be doing this. And I went, and then sadly, what it took to be able to get there, because I had tried to go to school and had gone to school part time for many years doing conflict resolution, but I had to do it very slowly because I worked full time. HR is a very stressful environment type of work. So, yeah, it was always on hold. And then, sadly, with my mom passing away, she asked me before she passed away, what do you want to do with your life? Like, what is there something that I can give you that will make your life easier, better?
Oh, I love that.
And she said, I don't want to know today. I want you to take a week and think about it. And after I thought about it, I knew, I just knew it was time. Both my sisters are medical doctors, education, very important. And I had always planned to be a lawyer, never went back after my first degree. I got into the work world and sucked into it.
That's
And
right. Slept into it's right. It gets so
yeah,
busy.
exactly. And so she said, I want you to do this. And so I literally, it was one of those things that just fell into place. I had put in the application, and within a week, I had a call. I had a call with admissions. I got all my transcripts, and there
There
I
you go.
was this time last year, last May. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love that journey so much of just that realizing that you wanted this piece that had been missing for so long. And you had so many reasons, as we do, to sort of say, no, not yet, not now. But this gift from your mom is just a beautiful gift. So I'm so happy for you and also sorry for your loss. But that can be a really important time in our lives when we recognize maybe this is the time to do this for yourself. So that's
And
wonderful.
you start to think when you lose a close family member, what's important?
That's
Like
right.
it really is family. It's not jobs. And it really helped me to reestablish my focus. And as I get older, my health, I don't take it for granted as
That's
much.
right.
So it was a complete refocusing. And I was watching my husband do his PhD at 56, and I thought, I can do this. I can do a post-grad,
Yes.
I can do it.
Well, you're giving me good feels too, because I went back to school and there's so many reasons why you can say it doesn't make sense or it's silly, but I find as you are, I'm sure so much of what I'm learning, I'm applying to my coaching business,
Yes.
applying, to my adult children, which I don't know if they love it, but I feel better knowing some of the research and theory behind things. Yeah, so that's fantastic. What are things that you are learning now and are able to apply? Anything in particular that just strikes you as being like, yes, this was it?
Well, things I didn't expect to get. I would say patience with people, and really able to be learning to be empathetic and understanding. And my extreme type thinking, things are gray. The world is gray. I mean, it's nice and blue sometimes when the sun is
That's
shining,
right.
but we're all different. We all bring different experiences and different cultures and different
Yes.
upbringing. And so it's really helped me to listen more, be patient, and less controlling, like less, needing to know. There's not a lot of certainty when you're in a counseling environment with the potential client. And we've been doing a lot of mock counseling.
Oh,
So
interesting.
you really get to see that you are in the moment, and being present and in the moment is the biggest gift I've gotten
Yes,
from this
that's what your
program so
client
far.
needs.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great because I feel the same with coaching is being there to know the questions to ask, but not the answers. And it's never
Yes.
a clear, absolute clear path, but seeing that in the eyes of the client is just really a gift. I'll use that again. It's a beautiful
It's,
process. So
it's like an aha
wonderful.
moment, when you watch them and the light bulb goes off, and it's very rewarding. That,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like what you're saying is these folks don't always have that time for that or that space to be heard or to think through things. in a way that counseling and coaching help differently, but informed by very similar things. So I also really appreciate understanding the multicultural aspects of things I hadn't experienced so much in the corporate setting, but understanding that clients come with so many different impacts and influences on their lives, and how they decide what paths to take and how they're influenced by that. So love that. I
Exactly.
think I think
Yes.
we touched on that common love when we talked before. So when did you start to feel moments that maybe this shift was necessary for you?
I would say I started to feel like a square peg in a round hole.
Tell
I
me more about that.
really, yeah, I really started to feel that I wasn't contributing the way I could be in another capacity. I didn't know what it was. So rather than just ignore it, because what happens, I don't know about you, but the voice gets so loud that can't ignore it. And
Yeah.
so it all kind of came together. And I've always been one of those people, I just keep it together. I can do this, I can do this. And then I had that moment when my mom and my stepdad passed away. It was, no, I can't do this, and I need to
Yeah.
take a bit of a step back and really think about what matters. And I worked with a coach who helped me really evaluate, what was important. And
What
then
was
that
important?
way, when I have that list, health, family, travel, school, and then work was last on the
That's
list.
right. That's right. But it's
And
all we ever know.
right, we're conditioned. So it allowed me to step back and say, oh, okay, there could be another way, you know?
Just
And
different.
that was good.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so many of the guests have experienced similar enlightenment as a result of something in the family, and mine was similar, but not a passing, but just something that had made me sort of wake up to say, wait a minute, maybe I need to lift my head up and realize there is more to life, and being present is really hard for me. Trying to be much more present in just being instead of achieving or marking things off of a list. So I appreciate you saying that just awareness was so important for you. What type of doubt or fear did you struggle with, if at all?
Oh,
I know,
absolutely.
right? It just comes with the territory.
I think as women too, we struggle more so because I've seen it in being in HR for so long. The people who would apply for jobs, the women were very hesitant to apply and thinking they're underqualified or not, can't do it or afraid. And whereas I would look at some of the applications from men and it was, wow, okay, good for them. They're
Yeah.
confident and think they could do it.
You're saying that women, we do tend to hold ourselves back, and we do doubt ourselves and have a little imposter syndrome that we hold on to a little bit longer than men typically.
Yeah, so no, that's basically it. When I saw all these fears that others had, and then I started to have them, and it was mostly fears around I knew I wanted to do HR. I knew I was good at it. I had made a bit of a niche career in terms of human resources in unionized workplaces and helping with
Yes.
conflict resolution. And I had worked inside a union, so I knew both sides. I knew what appealed to management, what appealed to unionized employees. So I I had this great niche. And like I'd mentioned earlier, I was a bit of an expert. And it wasn't a fear. It was something that actually happened that I wasn't expecting. When all of a sudden I went to school and I'm a beginner and I'm a person who's starting. And then all of a sudden I'm a new entrepreneur and I'm new and I'm starting. It was the most humbling experience because so
Yes.
many times I wanted to give up. And my husband would say, your biggest problem is not going to be getting clients and keeping them. It's going to be having too many and having to turn down work. And I'm like, yeah, 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 whatever. And sure enough, like I
Oh, Christina,
really,
I love that.
today I'm in that place where I can be choosy and get to do the work I love to do. But the first 6 months, oh, I say to women I speak with, if you ever think about going out on your own, have some savings, because the first 6 months it was networking, coffees, webinars, you name it, and just really letting go of the results. I'm here to talk to people about HR. I'm here to, explore and be open. And that was very freeing. But I didn't realize how much I would have that old identity. And I grieved that for a good
Yes.
6 months. Easy.
I will say that many women I've talked with, including myself, I lasted longer than that. And part of that was my business model when I left was a little bit different. I had to
Okay.
create a whole new network. It was a different niche.
Wow.
And letting go after that year of savings went away was really hard because, like you said, my identity was different. I had to find business. It was humbling. I had to be very vulnerable. And as you mentioned to others out there, just don't give up. You might have to iterate. You might need to continue to explore. I know what I do now is not exactly what I set out to do, but I realize that different needs. And yeah, it's a great journey. Honestly, there are trade-offs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the flexibility and the freedom, but I do miss the mentoring and the guiding and the helping, employees. And in fact, I missed that part so much. I signed up through our HR association, our HR professional association, to mentor students
Oh, I
so
love that.
that I could do mock interviews with them and help their CVs with their CVs. And so much of it for young people these days getting jobs, it's about who you know
It's
and,
about
and
who you
networking.
know.
Yeah.
I know. That's
Yeah.
something I've learned that while I networked really well in the companies that I worked in, I didn't leverage a network outside of my company as well, or I didn't stay in touch with those folks I had worked with along the way. And it's so important to continue to do that. So,
Absolutely.
who has been a big inspiration for you? You mentioned your daughter.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me
Yes.
about that.
Well, my daughter and I have a very special relationship. And in fact, I may even be moving out to Vancouver on the west coast of Canada where she is. We're just waiting to hear something, an opportunity for my husband.
That's
So
exciting.
if that happens, then I will get to finish my degree, my practicum, my placement out there. And she's dreaming already about us getting new office space. We're going to do group therapy for moms and daughters and healing. And just to be able to have that gift to be able to be with my daughter and have an adult relationship and have an open and honest relationship. Whether we go into business together, I don't know. She says, Mom, you're great at marketing, and I've got all the therapy experience. So
Right.
we'll see. But just being excited about life, that's what I guess she has brought to my life,
I
is
love
that
that.
I'm not afraid to get on a plane and go out there for the long weekend and just hang out and do new things and explore. And I'm terrified of bears, and there's black bears in BC. And every sign that we'd go into the town and say, this is black bear country. And so my daughter got up to do a run, and I don't run, I hike. And I said, oh, I think I'll leave it today. I said, but don't put your headphones on too loud in case you run into a bear. And sure enough, she comes back. She goes, I ran into the same bear twice.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what I would do, really.
She said it just turned, looked at her, and kept going. So,
Wow. Well,
yeah.
the awesomeness of nature, right? I love that so much. Just that freedom of saying, I can do this now, and why
Yeah.
not? And I love that you both, your husband and yourself, are both considering the possibilities of what's next. And so often I think we we don't allow ourselves to consider that possibility because it's number one, it's hard, it's uncertain, but it's so exhilarating and exciting as well. So I love that you have that. And I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say he's my other inspiration. My
Mm,
husband, because he went back to school later in life and he just never gives up. And every time I wanted to give up, I'd say, well, I'm not going to get clients. I'm not going to get any business. And he'd say, well, you're not if you give up.
yeah,
No,
that's right.
you have a better chance if you keep going. I'm like,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that solid logic right there. Yeah.
right. And I'm like, I don't like that. But yes, he's right.
Yeah, just
So
stay with me in this valley of suck for a little while, please. Yeah.
yes. So, but
Oh,
yes, I'm very happy. And those have been the two, I would say, most influential.
yeah, really energizing to your life. That's great. What advice would you give someone, or maybe even your younger self, about some of the shifts you've made?
I would say never lose your joy for living. And it's never too late to have an amazing childhood. That has been my lesson, is that I live like a child in a good way, like in a exploratory, curious. I have more fun at this stage in my life than I ever have.
All right, I need examples. I'm just going to say it. I need examples because this is last year. My word was zest, trying to have more zest, and it was micro moments of zest. I didn't do so great, and I need to do better this year. And it's June, so I better get on it. But what ways are you living a more childlike life now?
Well, I play games. Like I play Scrabble, I play cards with a group of women, and we rotate around people's houses every few months, and everybody brings junk food and snacks,
Like,
and
I can just see
we,
how happy you are with this. I love
yes. And my husband laughs because when I hosted it at my place, he said he could hear 25 women laughing from down the
it.
street.
25. This is a
Oh,
big game. Okay,
yeah.
multiple tables. Yeah.
Yes, and pickleball. I tried pickleball and loved it. It just things that wouldn't appeal to me before, like a riverboat. My mom said, "Oh, try going down a riverboat down the Danube." I loved it. I said, "Okay, that's a way to honor my mom. I'm going to do a riverboat down the Danube."
And how was it?
It was amazing. I loved, oh, it was beautiful, but there was a little downfall. I got a virus and my
Oh
husband did.
no.
So it's not quite as traveling sometimes, different countries, different water, all of those things. So we weren't well the whole time, but I just plan now to do it again another time so that I can enjoy it again.
Okay, well, you're my inspiration for these things, so I'll keep track of
But
what you're
sometimes
doing.
they're small. That's,
That's true.
sometimes they're river
Yes.
boats, and other times it's having my friends over for a barbecue
Yeah.
and, going for a hike with my daughter. We sat inside, turned on a fireplace, looked at the Pacific Ocean, and watched chick flicks all weekend. And it just things like that. Those are the moments now that I want to make memories, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think my kids are open to those things with me right now, but hopefully once they get a little bit older. But I can beg
Never
them.
too late.
Yeah, I can beg them. Hey, ready for a chick flick in front of a fireplace? What's one small step others could take? Just, we like to say that they don't have to leave a career to
Yeah.
explore, and not everyone has that luxury. I understand that. But what is a small step you might suggest to folks?
I would say the most important thing that I did was not waiting for the motivation to arrive. It was doing it,
I love that.
and then I became motivated. So I guess my advice would be never be afraid to try things
Yeah,
small, right?
that's
Just
right.
small. It doesn't have to be big. And then what happens? It's like the gym. Nobody wants to go to the gym. Nobody wants to exercise. But then when you're going and you see the results, like I've literally been going now 3 times to 4 times a week for a year
Wow.
because I started to see the results. So what I find is, as Eckhart Tolle says, life is not here to make you happy. It's here to make you conscious. So rather than looking at happiness and motivation and being on a pink cloud, I look at it now as it gives me the gift of consistency. And
I
that
love
is the
that.
biggest gift I've gotten from school, from work, from life.
Yeah, just this ongoing learning and experiencing things. I couldn't agree more. There are things I have the opportunity to learn and do now that I wouldn't have if I still had my very structured job. So as we mentioned before, there are trade-offs, but I'm very excited about those little micro moments of visiting a local farm foundation that it's teaching farmers new ways to do things, just those kinds of things.
Oh, sounds incredible.
So you already told me the best part of your pivot is just sort of leaning into life. What brings you joy right now? I think you touched on that, but anything else besides spending time with your daughter and sort of thinking about a really neat future? What other things bring you joy?
Walking in nature. This morning,
Yes.
I was out walking around a river with my old coach and just really enjoying life with a coffee and just those happy moments. And, my cousin who I grew up with just texted a little while ago before this and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in Ottawa. Would love to visit if you're around." And like, wow, last time she was here, it was 30 years ago.
Oh my
So
goodness. Oh, I love
exactly, my
that.
daughter was a baby. So just those little moments, not, I take them now rather
Yes,
than
yes, I
look
get
at
that.
why I can't, right? Oh, maybe that I'm not around, or maybe I'm busy. But yeah, I don't miss moments now.
Yeah, I love how you stated that. I don't miss the moments now because you never know what they're going to bring for you or what that experience could be. I agree. And I've been one of those folks who've always been so busy to do certain things, and now I need to just say yes to. So thank you for
Say
that.
yes. That's
Say
it.
yes. Love
Say
that.
yes.
You've mentioned about building more balance into your life, just having more joy, more fun, more experiences, more travel. How does that feel for you, like, from your wholeness point of view, like your whole self, your balance?
It feels good. I will say there's moments, just like anybody has in life, there's moments of doubt,
Yeah.
moments of challenge, moments of boredom, moments of busyness. And learning, I've become a lot more accepting in I don't need to change those. If
Mm,
it, if you know,
that
if
is brilliant. I love that, Christina.
yeah,
I love that because I think we always feel we have to adjust, and the boredom is one that I know we talked about as well. Boredom is something that I need to try to lean into and just be okay with it. And rest for me can be difficult, but I'm trying to learn to do that better too.
I find I'm the same. And sometimes our bodies will give us a clue. And I've been tired the last 2 weeks and it's been go, 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 go. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe. And then my doctor had ordered a blood test and I got the results yesterday and it's low iron. Well, guess what? Low iron does makes you tired.
Makes me
So
tired.
last night, normally I'd be out with my husband. Monday night, we like to do things. And I said, no, I'm going to sit on the couch with the dog, curled up with a blanket, and watch some chick flick type shows. I
Yes.
love them, and on Netflix. And I
Yes.
did, and I was so rejuvenated
Yes.
rather than I should be the shoulda, woulda, coulda.
That's right.
That used to
This is
play
what I
in my
should
mind.
do.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, what did you watch? I need to know if that's okay.
Everwood or Evergreen, Everwood.
Okay, I don't know that one. Okay.
Yes. Now it ranges from 2002 to 2026. Apparently there's 4 seasons. So yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everwood.
Yes, I love a good program to get my mind off of things and to just laugh.
That's it.
So important.
Yeah. I just want to thank you. Well, thank you at the end, but I
Yeah.
just love this. I think it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I've just found these conversations to be, my purpose for having them are for people to realize they might not be alone if they're feeling these things, because they're things we don't always talk about openly, especially with people we work with.
Right.
Um, and when I started talking with so many people, realizing many of us had these same thoughts, I thought, why not share these? But I still learn from all of these guests. All of you help me understand myself a little better and be a little more compassionate with myself, because it's not easy to do this, but it's very good in so many different ways, as you mentioned. So, okay, first one, mountains or beach?
Both.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So many people say both. Okay. You can elaborate. They don't have to be super quick.
Vancouver has mountains and beaches.
Oh,
So
I think that's right on. Okay. What's your go-to beverage choice in the morning?
coffee.
Yeah.
I think
Do you like it
everybody
any
probably says that.
special way?
I have an espresso machine and I love my half and half with a little bit of cream, my half and half caffeine, no caffeine, and a little
Oh,
bit of
okay.
cream. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay. And what's a non-negotiable for you now? At this stage in your life, what's a non-negotiable?
I don't do anything I don't need to do.
Yes. So if you all didn't hear that, she doesn't do anything she doesn't need to do. I love that. It's such a this stage of life does give us that freedom or that clarity.
It really does. And, I didn't see it till someone else said it. So I really stole it. But I was in Greece,
No.
and this lovely gentleman who climbed Everest was taking us on a guided hike. And he said, "Now, do you want the easy or the hard?" And I'm always up for a challenge. It's
I know,
difficult,
right?
right?
Yeah, challenge is
Well,
like, "Well, I don't know, you're gonna give it to me easy, no way."
and then halfway up the sandy hill that was very high, I realized a guy who's climbed Everest, his definition of hard is so anyway, I got up there and I said to him, I said, "You really enjoy what you do?" And my husband struck up a conversation. He said, "Yes, I love it. You know why? Because I don't do anything I don't need to do."
Mm,
And
gosh,
you
maybe
think
it's the
about how
gift of
many things. It's really helped me with boundaries. Do I need to do this, or am I doing this because someone else thinks I should, or to make
yes,
someone happy, or or is it really to nourish my soul? Of course, we have to do things. We own a home.
right.
We have to do, maintenance. I'm not saying suggesting that, but there's things we do a lot of the time, especially as women, I don't
Especially as
think we
women.
need to do. And so I've
Right.
been getting better at that.
Yeah, I do try to ask myself some clarifying questions silently in my head. Is that something you really have to do now? Do you need to do it now?
Exactly.
It's so true. Oh, gosh. What do you do for fun? I think I know, but go ahead in case we missed something.
Ah, the gym. I do
Yeah.
love it because it makes my mental health amazing
Mm,
and just sets my day up. And walking my dog. I have a little
mm.
King Charles Cavalier Spaniel. So, yeah.
Oh, how wonderful. Well, earlier we heard my dog, so Ruby. Is there a book or a podcast that you are really into right now that's inspiring you that you'd like to share?
Probably the one that inspired me early on when I started this pivot and journey was Talk About Talk. Andrea Wojcinski, and
Oh, yes.
incredible woman. Just
I did
it,
listen and I really enjoyed. Yes, you're right.
yes, yeah, yeah. And she's a fellow Canadian, and I've had the privilege of speaking with her. And early on, she really encouraged me and said, "You're doing the right things." And she took time to help other women, and that's something I try to do and pay it forward. Is that I will
Same.
always talk to people because I believe that good comes to those who give, you know?
I think so too. And
Yeah.
spreading a little bit of that out there just gets amplified. And who doesn't need to be lifted, right? Complete this sentence. Now my work feels blank.
Joyful,
Oh, I love that.
invigorating,
Yeah.
happy, peaceful.
Peaceful. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true. Well, Christina, thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing your journey. I know you're not quite at the finish line yet for your degree, but you can see just how this doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be, as you mentioned, the gray, the in between also offers so many different experiences that we can leverage and using our experience as well as the things we're learning and leaning into. So thank you so
Yes.
much.
Well, thank you, Kathleen. It's
Yeah.
been a pleasure.
Thank you again for joining us, and hopefully you had some great ahas or takeaways as you listened to Christina's journey. I will put her information as well as her recommendation for the podcast in the show notes. So please follow along, subscribe to Substack if you'd like to learn more about the Rooted Leader and content that I share. And also please subscribe or follow at wherever you listen to your podcast so that you'll always hear the next leader journey. Have a great day. Explore a little bit. See what might bring you energy and joy. And as always, stay rooted in authenticity and curiosity. Thank you.